Let me get something. Did you have issue ever recorded again?
If you want.
Yeah. You said you were a agnostic theist, right? You don't know if a God exists, but you would like to believe in one, or do you actively believe in one? Right
I won't exclude.
You won't exclude the possibility. I'm saying, sure, there could be totally a possibility, but do you have a?
What I'm saying is, I probably lean more onto the side of there is a higher power.
So you believe there is one, or do you know there is one?
I believe there could be one.
I believe there could be one too, but I would need a good reason if I was going to actually
But if you
believe a
but
claim.
if you wanted me to, if I was going to tell people where I fell on the creationist versus evolution spectrum of you start out in the middle, and those are people who I am in the middle.
Sure.
When it comes to religion, I'm probably less religious, more spiritual.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
I don't adhere to the ideology. I like to believe that if there is a higher power, a God, it resides in consciousness, in our consciousness, and then we derive understanding from it through our actions.
Whoa.
I don't want to be here's the definition of God that I don't like. I don't like omnipotent, all good, all knowing, all powerful kind of being. And
sure.
the reason is logically those three things coinciding we wouldn't have what we have. I don't think an all-knowing being who is all good would let bad things happen.
Yeah.
Because if he had the power to stop them, why is he not stopping?
Sure.
You can't be all good, which means doing what is good all the time, and all-knowing, but bad things happen, because that means you're not all-powerful. It means you literally don't have the power to stop them. Or if bad things do happen, you either don't have the power to stop them and you know about them, and you're all good, but you just have no power to stop them.
Okay.
Which doesn't make you all-powerful. Or you have the power to stop it, and you are all good, but you just don't know these things are happening. Sure. Or you're not good, and you know about them, and you have the power to stop them, but you don't even care because you're not good. See, I don't like the definition that they give God.
It's pretty bad.
I'm not saying my definition is good. I'm not saying it's the best, but my definition of God being within our consciousness.
Can you talk about that? Because I don't know what they mean by that. I can tell you what
you have conscious thought.
I have a conscious thought right now. I'm thinking about a zebra.
In your head, you have an ability of morality.
An ability of morality.
You have an ability to discern different types of morals.
Yes.
There's a lot of scientific evidence to back this claim up that I'm about to make, but a lot of other creatures in the world don't have that ability. And I know,
how does this understanding come to your definition of a God?
Our God resides. God resides in that consciousness.
God resides in that consciousness as an agent, as a thinking agent, or is he an emergent property of someone's conscious thought?
He is the emergent property of everyone's conscious thought.
So individually there's multiple gods, or for example, if I'm trying to understand how you're interpreting it, so I'm going to throw an example out. If everyone in the world were to die tomorrow, would there be lesser God as a result? Died to the point where they were no longer capable of having conscious thoughts. Would that reduce
would
that
consciousness
God?
Stop existing?
Yeah, let's just say wipes out more or less all life on the planet. Would that God then die? Or be reduced to some capacity? Or does he exist independent of conscious thought?
I would say in that point in time, God would be dead.
Okay, that's interesting. So your God is dependent on basically the thought process of people, on people being aware.
But as long as consciousness resides, God still lives.
Okay, so as long as there's one person, let's say there's one survivor, his name's Tim, he lives in the North Pole.
Yeah.
He's on a life raft or something.
Now what happens is
because he's the last person that's alive, there's a God, and he has complete control over it.
Not control. He has the only understanding of it.
Okay, that's interesting.
So my God is my consciousness. Your God is your consciousness. It's basically our morals, right?
Yes.
So our consciousness is what our moralities and our thoughts and our actions are.
Why can't it just be called that instead of a God? Why can't it just be our understanding of morals and consequences of our actions and so on? Why do we have to call that a God? Or why is it necessary to call that a God?
Because there's...
Okay, why should we call that God?
See, you're still thinking of God as like
or
this powerful thing that created life.
I'm past that. I'm thinking of it more of as it seems like I can call this soda can Terry, but I could just call it a soda can. So why is it necessary that I should call it this can Terry?
So what actions can...
Like, in what way is just calling it moral thought, moral thinking, abstract critical thought, and then calling it God? In what way does calling it God add to the things that those processes can do?
People think of God as like... The problem is people think of God as a person.
Like a character in
like
a
yes. As like an individual. And I think that
rather than like a force?
Rather than like gravity.
Okay.
If we thought of God as like more of like gravity or more of like forces, more of like...
If we called God, at least in this case, and let me know if this is a fair definition, optimal morality?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be perfectly fine with that.
So
God for me is the highest state of consciousness that could be reached that morally would lead to the least amount of bad things happening in the world.
Okay. Could a person who's completely secular say, I want to be the best person I possibly can be, I'm willing to devote a lot of time into thinking of how I can do that, and they do that, but they don't recognize that that action or even the goal of being in that moral state or that mind state is a God? Is that possible to reach that same level and just not call it a God?
Yeah.
Then is it, if you can reach the same level and call it a God?
It's not necessary to call it God.
It's not necessary to call it a God.
Like I said, God is a name.
Yeah, it's a label.
It's not just a label, it's a label that we give a single object.
If someone came in and says, I'm a theist, I believe in God, and they're thinking of, like a character in the Holy Book, are you, and by theist they mean you believe in a claim of a God belief or a God claim.
Yep.
And God claim in the popular context would be this character from a book or this object or this agent.
This character, this agent.
Are you also in that, would theist be the right term for you then?
No. I don't think, if that's your definition of theist, as someone who thinks of God as like an agent
or believes in a God claim, yeah.
I wouldn't say that that's my understanding of religion, or like understanding of like God.